So hi, finally it's our time to say hi to the people on the other side of the camera. And it's so cool. Let's get started. My name is Aziz, and for the past 10 years now, I've been learning English, and I also have had some experience of teaching and studying as well at the university. So I've been around for a while now. So from this day on, finally, I'm going to be able to share all of my knowledge related to English on how to learn certain things, the way how they should be learned. And today specifically, I'm going to be talking about on IELTS, listening and reading aspects. Why IELTS? Because why not? I've got band. I scored band 7 back in 2021. So it's been a while. So I learned some more stuff and I want to share them with you. So let's get started. First one is gonna be listening, right? I know by now you must have watched a bunch of videos on how to improve this aspect, that aspect, and this and that. I know it sucks for real. You just don't know what to do, and you have like 3 4 months to get prepared and just be done with the IELTS test. Yeah, and I totally get it. So I just gathered all of my knowledge here, which I thought to be the most useful advice. So first one is gonna be a bit controversial, maybe I don't know you like it or not, is switching to English speaking community. Why do you think maybe some of you might have already done this, but the ones who haven't done, please just switch not only your settings, but everything you do on social media. I mean your YouTube, your Instagram reels, TikTok, X, Facebook, whatever you do, whatever you watch, whatever kind of content you watch. For example, on YouTube, maybe you watch entertainment, video sports, or streamers who play video games, whatever, and you have your favorite bloggers. And the ones which speak in your native language, please just unsubscribe. Just let them go. I know how much emotionally you might be attached to those people, but try your very best to find the same kind of people who make the same kind of content but in English. And trust me, there's plenty of people who make videos in English and sometimes do even a better job. That's what I realized back in when I was just implementing those things. So with this, you're not only going to improve your English, but it's going to improve all the other aspects except like this. No, I think pretty much everything is going to improve. Not only your listening, but your reading, your speaking, because you're going to learn a bunch of new phrases, everyday uses of English. And what's more, it's super helpful in IELTS because, as you know, in IELTS test, we have many kinds of IELTS speakers. They're with different accents, by the way. It's like Australian guy, Canadian, American, British, and there is like bunch of more other what accents. So by watching everything that you watch in your native language, by improving, just by switching to English, you're pretty much going to be on the win side. So that's what I encourage you to do. Just I know it would suck for some time, like for 2 weeks or three or so, but then you're going to get used to it eventually. It's not going to be much of a big deal. We're adaptive creatures, we're humans, right? So that's gonna be my number one advice. Everything in English. Press hold not interested and you're done with your native language. Whatever, if you want to improve your listening. I mean English, right? So that's done. Second one, what I want you to do is to use only official IELTS materials. I mean, because in the preparation process, you're going to face so many problems related to materials your friends, your teachers might bring. No, I don't really think your teachers, but most of the time your friends are going to bring some crazy materials which are not IELTS related, and you're going to go crazy with that because they are not really related. Please just use Cambridge, IDP, British Council sample tests, and there's gonna be 2 3 more books, and I will leave the links down below somewhere here, there, wherever. And try to use them only. In fact, when I was preparing for my IELTS, I actually used only 2 or 3 books: IELTS Cambridge, and there was some 2 other books. I can't remember exactly, but I will find out and share them with you in the description somewhere. And mostly, I've believe that I've done only Cambridge from 6 to 18 back then. Maybe now it's like 20, 21. I don't know, but they are quite enough. And why official materials? Because they are more likely, like they're so similar to the real exam test, and you're going to not get lost in the real exam. Non-officials, it's like crazy. I remember one time when when my friend brought some materials and we sat down and did it for 30 minutes, and I remember having scored 20, and I'm like, what? How is it possible? But at the time I was scoring 33, 35 from official materials, and I scored like 20 because I didn't really understand anything there. What was the idea of just listening something and the text is completely different about some other stuff? And I'm like nuts, like just there's no way. So just don't go. Go with official materials, right? Yeah, that's the second. Move on to the third ex- uh, third advice, third strategy, or whatever you want to call it, is gonna be get familiar with IELTS listening test. I mean, at the same time, get familiar with the question types in IELTS listening. That's one of the most important aspects if you want to work on your IELTS listening. Because there's mainly like 10 types of questions, and if you don't really understand some of them, you're going to really struggle in doing the test. So what I want you to do is to go on YouTube and search again each types of questions, uh, sentence compilation, matching headings, and maps. There's a ton of videos on how to solve with each aspect of the listening. And that's super helpful because you must get familiar with all those questions, and it's going to make your life so much easier because you're not going to struggle at all. And that's pretty much going to be it, right? And I encourage you to search more. What I mean is come up with your own strategy, just generate some idea on how to get done with all types of listening tests, and you're gonna be good to go. Just search for it on YouTube, just and learn. Yeah, finally, the final advice, whatever, is gonna be analyzing and vocabulary. I know everyone is like, "Ooh, crap." I totally get it because that's what I used to struggle with also. But it's the most critical part, it's the most significant part, I would say, analyzing and vocabulary. If you really want to improve your listening, without those two, you're going to suck at listening. Trust me. And I could give my personal advice here. I would say go with 3 tests a week. 3 full tests, like mock tests, right? You have 40 questions, sorry, and you just sit down like a real exam. You put on the recording. You just do complete 40 questions. And let's say you scored 30 out of 40 and you made 10 mistakes. And what I want you to do is to spend another 2 hours working on those 10 mistakes, why you made them, and just put on the listening again and just find out why. Boom, boom, and you're done. It's a vocabulary problem, spelling problem, whatever kind of problem. Just write them down. Write down the words that you don't know. It's super important too, because mostly that's why you are making so many mistakes. Maybe you have like mostly people have problem with vocabularies. That's why they make so many. That's why they have so many issues with else. And write them down, and you're gonna be good to go. And once you're done with your mistakes, go with the ones which you found to be correct about. I mean, the 30 questions, and you were right about 30 of them, and just do the research on them too, why you were so right about it. Because sometimes we just gamble. It's like 70% it should be this, and we mark, and it's true. But try to work them out to be so much like you should develop that confidence. That's why you need to analyze more, analyzing. Spend around 3 hours on analyzing. and writing down the vocabulary. This one is also super crucial. Just every single word that you come across, just write them down straight ahead on the paper. It doesn't necessarily need to be learned actively. You can just learn them passively, but just writing them down. And you know what's interesting thing about IELTS is that most of the words are always repeated. Once you just reach that level, when you just written down from, for example, you start from Cambridge 6 to 10, you've written down every single word, and from Cambridge 11, you're going to face those words again, and it's not going to be much of a big deal. At the end of the day, you're going to just learn them all by default. I don't know. It works like that. And that's pretty much it. 3 times a week and 3 hours so that not to get burned out. That's it. Around 3 months, just try this and you're gonna be good to go. And yeah, that's it for listening. That's my advice. And next one is gonna be reading. I know reading is such a pain in the neck. It's gonna be much of a big deal for all of us, pretty much all of us, right? And here I also came up with 4 strategies, and first one is gonna be trying to understand the question types once again. Just like listening, reading has its various types of questions, around 15 or 16 types of questions, and just get familiar with all of them. Because without that, you're really going to struggle. The matching headings, sentence completion, gap completion, and so on and so on. Just again, just go on YouTube and search for specific strategies on how to deal with each specific part, because all of them require certain approach on to dealing with certain types of those questions. So that's the number one advice. And second one is gonna be practicing with IELTS official materials once again. Just don't go overboard. Don't look for some other crazy materials, as I mentioned in the listening one. Reading is also quite essential. Use only official materials because that's what you need. And again, once again, write down every single word that you don't know and use official materials. And I'm gonna leave the links somewhere here and there. Use only official materials, please. And you also read some other newspapers, whatever people say, but I was too lazy to read them. So if you like to read some news, try to read them in English, and that's pretty much it. Yep. Third one. What I want you to do is to develop your own strategy on dealing with each type of questions and each passage of the reading. As you all know, we have 3 passages and 40 questions. And you should try to first learn how to manage your time. What I want you to do is to spend on passage 1 around 10 to 12 minutes, at max 12 minutes. If it's like super hard to see, 13 minutes, it's max. Just if you won't be able to finish it in 13 minutes, just mark them, just whatever, and just move on to the second passage. And the passage 2 is the same, 15 to 18 to 20 minutes, at max 20 minutes. That's it. Just learn to just implement those rules. If you're not catching up, try to just be quicker and read them and mark them as fast as possible. And move to the next third passage is the most difficult. It's gonna be like such a pain. And it's gonna take like 27 to 30 minutes. 30. Good, right? And that's at least what I used to do. I mean, you can try this once. If it works for you, why not? But try to implement those rules, 10 to 12 minutes, and be careful with your time management because it's really important in reading. And what else I've got here? Yep. The After you have developed your own strategy and you know how to deal with each and every single one of them, it's gonna be fourth advice mine now. It is analyzing and vocabulary. Again, I know it's again such a pain, and that's why I recommend for you to do practice tests 3 times a week, reading 3 times a week, and listening 3 times a week. Try to do it as a mock test. It's like at max 3 times. You can try just like 2 times a week, no problem. If you have like 3, 4, 5 months to get prepared. But if you really want like 3 times, is the best advice, I think. It's a good to go strategy. And once again, you just sit down like in the real exam, you put on the timer and try to complete them, and watch out for the time management, as I mentioned earlier. Just 12 minutes and be done with passage 1. 18, 20 minutes, be done with passage 2 and passage 3. And after that, once again, if you need to like analyze, right? And if your scores are like 5, 5.5, 6, what I encourage you to do, if you're like super bad at reading, that's what I was, by the way, in the past. And what I came up with some kind of genius idea, I think. I just sat down and I just scratched like this, and I don't know what to do with this reading. Because I can't really just make it on time, like never. It takes me like 2, 3 hours. And I sat down and I wrote down all the answers of the reading test. I just haven't done anything about the reading itself. I just copy it and just reading test answers and just write them down, all 40 of them. And I then sat down and just started looking for those answers and just, why is this answer? And I just started reading one by one and one by one. And that helps a lot, by the way. Just before doing the test itself, you can just write down the answers and just generate some idea on how the test answers are generated, you know? And if you like it, you can try it for 4 or 5 times before you make like some kind of progress. But if you're really just bad at it, just try that approach. Why not? And that's pretty much it. And in reading, what else we've got? I believe that's it. Yeah. Analyze vocabulary, practice daily, and both listening and reading, and you're gonna be good to go. Just 3 times a week and apply those rules, and that's it.